Hi guys, my name's Doug. Welcome to my messy garage. This week's video we're going to continue working on the Harbor Freight blasting cabinet. In today's video we are going to be installing the metering valve. The metering valve takes the leftover or used blasting media in here, uses the taper here to create a venturi effect. This pipe fitting will modify for a bleed valve to let some air in, kind of control how much media is being pulled back into the gun in the upper part of the cabinet, and this is the drain valve on the bottom. Follow along. Hopefully you enjoy this. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for watching. Starting off here, we have the bottom of the hopper. They call this a floor mount flange, 1.25" coupler, 1.25" pipe plug, and I believe this is 3/8 diameter. Yeah, 3/8 says right there. Essentially, it's a coupler. This is the bottom of the hopper, and we need to mount the floor flange to the hopper door so that it is at the lowest point when the door is installed. Take a Sharpie marker, kind of center it on the door. Position isn't really super critical. The flange is just a little bit bigger than the door. And there we go. I've got a 1.5" 38mm bimetal hole saw. Should give us a hole. Should work very well. And I suppose I should decide exactly what size screws I'm going to use there. I'm thinking 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch should be just about perfect. Of course, we won't drill 1/4 inch right away. We'll start off with a 5/32. Looks like a good one. We've got our 4 holes. Check the alignment. Looks pretty good to me. Let's open them up to 1/4 inch. There we go. Again, check the alignment. That'll work. Unfortunately, I don't have any flush mount machine screws that are 1/4 inch, so I'm going to have to pick those up at some point. However, I do have some 1/4 inch bolts, I'm sure, that I can put in there temporarily just to hold everything together. Now we need to drill the hole for the large fitting. Part of me would like to use a step drill to do this. However, I don't think I have one that goes quite that big. So we're going to have to use bimetal hole saw. Since I happen to have a center punch and a ball peen hammer handy, let's put mark close enough to center. I'm going to punch a pilot hole through here. It tells me that's not the sharpest drill bit in the world. Put the hole saw in low gear. When you're using the bimetal hole saw, it's always a good idea with a cordless drill to drop your clutch back. That way, if the hole saw grabs, it doesn't end up twisting, hurting your wrist. Also, a very good idea to hang on very tightly to the butt of the drill. See, I quite often pinch it in my arm. Hard to see there, but well, it's not necessarily the prettiest edge in the world. That'll take a little bit of cleaning up. I'm thinking that the center anvil on my bimetal hole saw might be getting a little bit worn. There's quite a bit of wobble there. I won't claim that that's a perfectly round hole, but it'll do. Put the floor flange on, and everything looks like it lines up pretty decently. I'm quite happy with how that turned out, all things considered. Let me take a file and clean this up a little bit, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm done. So I managed to get this cleaned up. Surprisingly, the swivel deburring tool did a fairly good job of taking the sharp edge off the steel. Usually I only use it on plastic or aluminum, but it seemed to work fairly well. We've got some nice flush head screws that should go in and hold everything together. I've got lock washers and nuts to go on the back side. However, I do want to put a little bit of sealant on the back side of this so that we don't end up with any leakage around the base of this. Now you might be wondering why I'm concerned about sealing this up. You know, sand going through here. It's not a big deal if a little bit were to leak out. This is fairly flat. This is fairly flat. Should seal up for the most part. I want to make this cabinet so that I can do vapor blasting. Vapor blasting is basically the combination of water and blasting media put together. It does a nice job of fine blasting. It doesn't destroy metal. You can actually vapor blast plastic without destroying it. And I want that option. Of course, the problem is that vapor blasting uses water, and I live in northwestern Ontario. It does tend to get a little bit cold in the winter, and I don't keep my garage heated at all times. So being able to do vapor blasting while I have the garage heated up or during the summer would be a great option, and then being able to do regular media blasting the rest of the time is also a good option. So let me grab the sealant and we'll get this ready to put together. Yeah, hopefully this has enough in it to do the job. Getting a little low on the sealant. There we go. Got it bolted on. Might buzz those off with the die grinder later just to clean things up a little bit, but I don't think they'll hurt anything being there a little on the long side. And that is essentially what we're going to go for. Now, for sealant on here, my preference is to use a Loctite pipe dope. I much prefer that to Teflon tape. However, pipe dope remains tacky for quite an amount of time, and dealing with dust and grit, we're probably going to end up with it sticking to the thread sealant. So I'm going to go and see if I can dig up a piece or a little bit of Teflon tape to put on here, and we'll use that instead. Well, I had to scrape the bottom of my stash of plumbing supplies, but I did find a fairly good amount of Teflon tape. Of course, when you're putting Teflon tape on, you want to make sure that it doesn't unspool and jam when you're tightening the piece. This is the direction that the piece is going to be sitting on the blasting cabinet, and we want the valve pointing that way. So you get about 180 more degrees out of it. That should work. Good enough. Now, I don't think that I really need to put any Teflon tape in this bottom. We'll try it if I find that we're getting an air leak around this bottom pipe plug that is affecting how the sand gets drawn back up into the unit. Maybe we will have to put a little bit of sealing tape on it, but at this point, no problem. So the next step is we have to modify this little pipe coupler so that it will accept a bolt that comes in the top to adjust how much air it allows in, and also I think we're going to end up cleaning these threads off just to make it a little bit easier to drill those holes. So let me get this set up in the lathe and I will bring you guys back. So here we are set up at the lathe. Before I get going here, I will want to make the disclaimer. If you want to learn about running machining equipment, I highly recommend A-Bomb 79. If you want some punny dad jokes about machining, I highly recommend This Old Tony. Me, however, I can generally get this lathe to do what I need it to do, but I am far, far, far from an expert. So don't hold it against me if I don't do things quite right. First rule is whenever you clamp something in the chuck, good and tight, always pull the key out. Never, ever, ever leave the key in the chuck, because if you accidentally turn this thing on with the key in the chuck, it will fly out of there like an absolute bullet. So I don't even know what speed we have this set to. I gotta pull this cover open at the other end and see what belt setting we have. So we have this chart here and this chart here. Pulley A, B, and C. Pulley A, pulley B, pulley C. We are on the back of pulley A, so pulley A is driving pulley B, and we're in the middle notch of BC, which is 2. BC2 gives us 300 RPM. This particular lathe does not have a variable speed drive. It is strictly fixed based on the belt. Also, you'll see we have a number of gears here. The gears run the auto feed, which you can set up based on these charts for threading or for turning. We have forward, reverse, e-stop, and start. Clear the e-stop. Now if I press the start button, this thing will start turning. Verify, chuck key is not in place. So what I'm doing here is I am cleaning up the end. Now we are essentially 0. We'll 0 out the cross slide. Run it in 10. There we are. We get the threads cleaned off there nicely. Remove the cutting bit. And now we bring in the tailstock. What we're going to do here is we're going to get a tap, put it in there, and try and cut some threads. So what I have here is a 3/8 bolt and a 3/8 National Course tap. This is a 3/8 fitting, so there's not a whole lot that I need to worry about drilling out. If this were a fastener, as in was holding something down, you'd have to drill it out to the appropriate size, and you would have to then tap it. However, because this is brass, because this is essentially just about fits in there without using threads, we're not really worrying too much about the how tight it is. So just to be on the safe side, I will put a little bit of tap cutting fluid on here. Again, with brass, not really super necessary. So what we're going to do is bring this up to the point where it starts to fit in. We'll make sure that the e-stop is in. We are in stop. There's no way this thing could come on. Matter of fact, I'm going to go so far as to unplug it. There's absolutely no way that the motor could turn on and shoot this chuck key across the room. We snug the tailstock down using the wrench. And now we're going to start turning it manually by putting the chuck key in and pulling. And all we're really using the tailstock for here is an alignment tool. And as I spin the tap in by spinning the chuck, and as you can see by hand, I'm not even using the chuck key on the tailstock over here, I am just spinning the hand wheel in and advancing it as it is willing to take the tap in. So here we are, we've got it out. I'm going to drill a couple of holes at different heights, and as we back the bolt out, it will let more air in or less air in based on how far the bolt is in. Here we are, we've got 3 holes drilled, 2 adjacent, 1 off on the other side, just because that's where the chuck marked the piece when it fell out, and it was easier to drill through there. And I am able to come in far enough to block all 3 holes off, and the hole size that I used was 5/32, and I think that's big enough that I can use the bolt to even adjust how far open the hole is. I don't know if that's picking up on the camera or not. Focus on that, and you can see that the hole is large enough that not only do I have 3 holes to choose from, but I can take fractions of those holes as well. So here we are. We basically got the metering valve ready to go, except for one problem. I need to get a barb fitting. I have one on order from Amazon because I couldn't find one at any local hardware store, and it should hopefully be in my box the next time I'm able to get to it. But unfortunately, that means that we can't make this work 100%. However, I do have the rest of this assembly mounted to the blast cabinet, so let me stick it under there, and then I will bring the camera down and show you what it looks like. Here's the metering valve installed on the cabinet. The outlet will come here. Here's our vacuum adjustment. This is the drain to get the media out of the cabinet if we want to change it. This little cam lever is still functional. The door is capable of flipping down, and we can clean out inside if we need to. I think that's as far as I'm going to take this video. Come back in a couple of weeks and I'll have some more blast cabinet modifications. Still have a few more little jobs left to do on this one. It's getting close to being functional though. Anyways, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And on to the next mess. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. For more great content from Doug's Messy Garage, click on one of the videos that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Thanks for watching.